I'm in a real pickle myself right now. I was just talking with Seth about this earlier, and we were just talking for a while, and one of the things we were discussing is how unless you're getting paid for what you're doing, you really can't justify it. I can't justify this stream. Well, I got a sub from Cormy, so that's a little bit of justification, but it's like impossible to justify doing anything that you're not getting paid for, which is just insanity if you ask me. I don't know what's gone wrong with humans, but something has gone seriously wrong. So I'm at this stage now where like I realize I'm gonna have to do something similar to what you're doing. I'm probably gonna have to go back to school, go to university. Yeah, it's you know it's impossible to cover the cost of living, especially if you want to take care of yourself properly. It's just, I mean, maybe you can just scrape by and survive on a diet of bread and rice or something, but you're just going to be a fucking wreck. Like, it's no way for people to live, and we really need to be like looking out for one another a lot better, and caring for one another a lot better, and really building much stronger communities, etc. It's insane, and the people at the top who are exploiting us for profit, they want us all to be turned against one another. They want us to be in competition. Exactly, exactly. Yeah. The more divided we are, the easier we are to manipulate. And what people don't realize is that we're a few short steps away from taking control of our lives, and really putting an end to this madness. But mostly it comes down to fear. People are much too afraid to change or try to change. Some people have like a bit of a sort of what's it called, Stockholm syndrome, where they've actually like fallen in love with their oppressors. They've become like dependent on them. Um, some people just can't imagine a better way. One of the things that people tell me a lot is, well, if you're going to take away one system, if you're going to remove capitalism, then we need a different system to put in its place. What's wrong with no system? Human consciousness evolved with no system. You know, life came into existence with no system. Right? It's terrifying for them. Also because I think either consciously or subconsciously people realize what a fragile illusion their lives really are. They understand that it's just a house of cards waiting to collapse at any moment, and what will be revealed when it falls, the truth. And facing the truth is the hardest thing of all. But for those of us who look the truth right in the face, and that's all we've ever done and all we've ever known, we don't have that fear, because we're already in that place. We live in that place. Um, I mean, it's just how life is. We have no security, no stability. Everything's constantly changing, and you have to try and keep up with it. It's just it's wild, you know. It's a wild ride, but people cling to this illusion of stability that the ego essentially generates. And that's why psychedelics are so wonderful, because they obliterate the ego. They just annihilate it. And they just show you the ego's not in control. Ego's not even real. It's just a delusion. And when you see beyond that, well, that's when you really get in touch with reality. And you know that's what I would suggest that we do. I suggest that we take an objective and scientific and compassionate approach to life, where we literally immerse ourselves directly in reality, you know, conform to the laws of nature, not the laws of man. Right, right, yeah. But if people exist within the confines of a game, which has strict and unchanging rules, etc., then they feel it's stable and comfortable. You know, they're in like a comfort zone. But when you realize that none of that's real, and you actually have to face both yourself and reality, um, I mean, if all you've ever known is this illusory sort of man-made playpen, this restricted and confined region of experience, you know, as soon as you break out of that and find yourself really confronted with truth, it's terrifying for people. It's very that is not easy work to do, to overcome that. And I feel for people. I do, but it's necessary. It's necessary for our species to continue without destroying ourselves. We have to look at things as they truly are, you know, without these lenses of delusion overlaid on top. It just it pushes us further and further away from where we actually are, you know. And it takes a willingness, is what it takes. You can never be ready for this work, for this type of thing. You just can't. There's no way to prepare, and you can only be willing to do it. And that's why I offer my services and support and knowledge, wisdom, and whatever to anyone who's willing to listen and who's willing to do this work, because I went through all of it alone. You know, I had absolutely zero guidance in the world. You know, I didn't have anyone explain any of this to me. I had to experiment and explore and research for myself. And, you know, took over 20 years for me to work out who I am and what's happening around me and what I should do about it. You know? And if we could be more truthful with the youngsters, if we could be open and honest with them, that would be we would have like they would grow up to be much healthier adults, rather than having to. I mean, they may never break out of it. You know, they may never snap out of that cycle. Um, but if they do, then they're very much on their own, and it's unfair. You know. It's unfair. But then some parents are just clueless, you know. So it's like you go generations and generations back, and it's just clueless parents raising children to be clueless adults who then raise children to be clueless, and it just goes on, and it's like having a blindfolded person driving a bus full of passengers off a cliff. It's insane. Yeah, it's a good, like, it's a band-aid. It's a short-term solution. Um right, right. Yeah, that's a lot of people think like that. A lot of people have given up. They just say, well, this is how the world is. It doesn't I want to say to them, it doesn't have to be. We're so close to a different way. We can change things. We're far more powerful than you think. It just requires solidarity and like I say, and a willingness. But universal basic income would be a step in the right direction, and it would help so much. It would help so much because it would give people the freedom to do all of this self discovery and to work out what field they're interested in working in. And you know, right now we have it. You're pressured. You know, you will literally starve to death if you don't just find the first job that you can get. So people spend their entire lives completely diverted from their true course in life, and that they're just wasting their existence in these dead end jobs, just desperately trying to survive, and that their whole life passes them by before they've done anything. And if they had just that freedom, just to know that I'm safe, I can live and I can eat, so I have a bit of time. I have time to think about things, research and study and learn and grow as a person. I'm not just wrecked with stress constantly, and my time is my own, and I'm not, you know, it would help massively in so many ways. Yeah, it's true. It's true. And it's happening around the world. You look at what's happening in France and stuff with the yellow coats, basically the workforce just turning against the government. And you realize the truth of it. The government is setting, like, the military and the police against its own people and brutally oppressing them with violence, with non-lethal bullets and tear gas and water cannons, and they just reveal their true nature, you know. um like, they didn't go, oh, okay, okay, we get it, you guys can't afford to live, that's obviously inhumane, let's do something about it, you know. No, they just start shooting people. Right, exactly. Exactly. And think, like, people are going to be able to pursue what they're passionate about, which means that their quality of their work is going to increase exponentially. Instead of having these people in jobs that they don't care about, where they put minimal effort into the work, you'll have people in fields that they're interested in putting maximum effort into the work. Think how much faster we'll advance as a species. But of course, they don't want us to advance as a species. They want to keep us sedated, infantile, confused, and conflicted. They want to be able to control us. And you know, just to be able to see that, just to be able to see this is half the battle. There's a lot of people out there who can't even see what's happening to them, which is insane. Like, they almost think it's good for them. They're like, they're like grateful for their oppressors. It's just fucking ridiculous. But yeah, so universal basic income would be a good step in the right direction. But we need to abolish currency. It's never going to work. As soon as you introduce currency, an economy, some kind of token-based system, anything like that, as soon as you introduce something like that, it's corruptible. It's flawed. I mean, we know capitalism is inherently broken because of the whole infinite growth concept, which is just totally unsustainable and unreasonable. It's destined to fail. It's never going to work. None of our reality is too complex. It's too rapidly evolving. It's something that needs to be looked at and interacted with directly. As soon as you're one step removed by introducing this like middleman of these imaginary fiat currencies and everything, and then you're another step removed when you disempower yourself by voting in leaders and stuff and saying like, okay, I'm going to surrender control over my own life to this person who is now going to make decisions for me. Now you're another step removed, and there's so many layers of this that we're fucking light years away from our own reality. It's yeah, yeah. It's the longer I exist on this world, and the more that I raise my awareness and um, learn about everything that's happening around me, the more I really truly understand that we are living under oppression, and as soon as you like, I was fortunate. I was so lucky in this lifetime. Like, just give me permission to sound like a crazy person for a second, but I came into contact with psychedelic mushrooms, with LSD, with dimethyltryptamine, with cannabis, and with meditation techniques, and with the teachings of Buddhism, with the wisdom of philosophers like Alan Watts and Terence McKenna. I was so fortunate to come into contact with all of these things. And as a result, because I had the willingness and I had the curiosity and the drive and everything, I was able to reach enlightenment in this lifetime. And it I truly feel as if I fulfilled my purpose as a human being. There's nothing, I cannot say that I've ever experienced anything as fulfilling as reaching a complete state of awareness. That's like what we're supposed to be doing as humans. We are literally the universe awakening unto itself. That is our primary responsibility. We are the sensory apparatus of the universe. And when that happens to you, when you have an experience like that, and you understand the nature of consciousness, and you realize that it's literally the most powerful thing in existence, and that it's this incredibly complex, self-regulating superorganism, you understand that any kind of restrictive system or authority or hierarchy, or I'm talking about like, okay, a little bit vague. We could get into that, but hopefully you know what I'm saying. You begin to realize that these things are just structures of control to keep us down, to exploit us, to manipulate us. Right. It's a massive perspective shift. I mean, it's like suddenly you can see yourself, you know? It, that's what it's been like for me. Like, suddenly I'm self aware, you know? And not only that, but I'm aware of what's happening in the world around me, etc. That it's incredible because you also become more aware of all of the beauty in the world, you know? You can appreciate art more, you can appreciate music more, you can appreciate women more, you can appreciate people's personalities more. You become more sensitive to everything. But at the same time, you also become more sensitive to all the evil in the world and all the wrong that men do. And so it's like two sides of the same coin. You can't have one without the other, you know? As your awareness increases, you can appreciate all the good, but you also become far more aware of all of the bad. And it's difficult. Yeah. It's very difficult. It's very, very difficult, especially when, I mean, I'm in a situation where my entire family completely misunderstands me. They you know, they have no idea about any of this stuff or any of the work that I've done, or how hard I've had to work to reach this point and to mature to this point, you know. They just have no idea. And it's very difficult to be misunderstood every single day of your life by the people who are closest to you. I mean, they just think I'm just some fucking degenerate drug addict who doesn't care about anything. But that's because that's what they've been told. That's what they've been told, you know. Drugs are bad, okay, you know. That's all they know. They've never tried it. They've never taken a scientific approach to these things. They've never listened to the likes of Terence McKenna or Alan Watts, or they've just followed the mainstream media, and they believe it all. I mean, it's just madness. It's just madness when someone says like cannabis is a damaging and debilitating poison that ruins people and destroys their minds and corrupts them, and it's like they're living in an entirely different universe, you know? Like anyone who's ever tried cannabis, unless maybe you did too much, or you're in the wrong setting, or you know, maybe unless you fucked up somehow and had a really bad time. Anyone who's tried cannabis knows it's a medicine. It's incredibly beneficial in many ways. I mean, Bob Marley said it brings you closer to God. It does have that perspective shifting, consciousness elevating property, but then it's also a great pain reliever. It helps you recover faster after exercise. It helps you with insomnia. I suffer with insomnia. It really helps with insomnia. It's an appetite stimulant, so you can eat lots and lots more, which is great for someone like me. I'm quite a small guy. I'm trying to bulk up, so I really like to be able to eat those huge meals and stuff. Absolutely, it can. You know, I'm diagnosed as Asperger's, or high functioning autism, or whatever it's called, and cannabis has helped me tremendously. Not as much as the psychedelics. The psychedelics have it's amazing what the psychedelics have done for me. If you are or on the autistic spectrum and you have trouble with social interaction and understanding people and understanding things like body language and micro expressions and subtext and all of this, like all of the complexities of social interaction, try starting to experiment with, don't break any laws, please. This is Twitch television, and I'm not encouraging anyone to break any laws, of course. But if you have the opportunity, try working with psychedelics, because the change that I've seen in myself is unbelievable. It's like I'm no longer an alien. I can actually understand people now. It's incredible. And that's just one benefit of it. That's just one small aspect of it, you know. Let's not forget the whole spiritual awakening, the music appreciation, the artistic and creative acceleration and enhancement. You know, it's all there, and it's all incredible. Right, right, and that's exactly what they do, and I will also say, as someone who's I suffered with debilitating anxiety, terrible anxiety, to the point where I actually had an anxiety induced seizure at one point. My anxiety got so bad that it was becoming a threat to my life. It was so bad. I was permanently terrified. Just imagine being constantly terrified in the most mundane and normal situations. I was so afraid that my brain like turned against itself and just shut down and put me into a seizure. You know, that was a very scary experience, and it was a real like, it shook me up. Like, you need to do something about this or you're gonna die. Um, and so that was one of the things that set me on my quest, you know. And I've gone through terrible depressions, terrible. Fortunately, I don't suffer with depression now. I I will say that I am suicidal. I will admit that I am suicidal, but it's not due to depression. It's due to the state of the world and my inability to affect any kind of positive change on the world. You know, I literally feel like a caged animal. And I'm just trapped here, unable to do anything to help anyone. And it's infuriating. And yeah, the psychedelics. I no longer suffer with anxiety. I no longer suffer with depression. And that's all thanks to the exploration of my own mind, the introspection that I was able to do thanks to psychedelics. And people will tell you to be afraid of these things and that you're going to take them and jump off a roof or do something stupid, you know. Nonsense. These are medicines. These are incredibly powerful medicines that can save lives and change lives. Exactly. And there you go, you know. And what, it's incredible for so many things that people suffer with. So many. I mean, it outright stops some people's seizures completely. Epileptic seizures, different types of seizures, outright stops them. It allows people with degenerative muscle diseases to move. You know, people who are wheelchair bound and unable to even move without lots of assistance. Suddenly they're in the pool and they're swimming, and it's just a fucking miracle. And the reason that we don't prescribe it or use this this wonderful medicine is because it's naturally occurring and it can't be patented. So the pharmaceutical companies can't profit off of it. You know, and there's an example of how capitalism, or having money, prevents us from doing the right thing, because everything's driven towards profit. It's true. Yeah, it's insane. What some of the stories that I'm hearing coming out of America about people going on prescription anti-anxiety medication, prescription antidepressants, and even prescription antipsychotics, and even a combination of all three of those things. It's terrifying. People permanently damage their brain by going on those things. People take these anxiety pills and they think, oh my god, this is incredible. The anxiety's completely gone. But as soon as they stop taking those pills, it comes back 10 times worse than before. Because they haven't addressed the root cause of the anxiety. They've just medicated the symptoms. And in the background, it's just getting worse and worse and worse. And you know, in the vast majority of these school shooting cases, these people are on antidepressants, like ADD medications, sometimes even antipsychotics, you know? And that's terrifying to anyone who's remotely educated about the effects of psychoactive drugs. Putting someone who isn't psychotic on an antipsychotic medication, that's fucking insanity. Let alone doing it in combination with several other things. And yeah, so they can't patent cannabis, so they can only patent these synthetic chemicals, and so they churn out all these pills, you know, which have only been around for a few years, and we have no, you know, cannabis has been used for thousands, tens of thousands of years, possibly even hundreds of thousands. We don't know. It's got a proven track record that it's perfectly safe. Perfect, except for maybe the rarest of cases when someone has some strange intolerance to it or something. We know it's perfectly safe. It's been used forever. And yet people are putting people on these drugs that have been around for less than 5 years. We have no idea what that's going to do to people. Imagine being on something that for like 30 years that people have no idea what it's going to do to you. Good lord. Exactly. Yeah. Most of these mental health issues that people are experiencing is from being born into an essentially inhuman culture, an inhuman value system that just completely tears apart any semblance of a normal life they could have ever hoped for. You know? And then people turn to these synthetic medications to desperately try and mask the suffering that they're going through. And it's just we're getting everything so wrong. It's unbelievable. Like, what I realize that our species, you know, we've been going for a very long time, and we're not young in one sense, but in another sense, we are quite young, you know. All of this all of this technology that's emerged and everything is so new. It's so new. We're not used to any of this. We're still working it out. And yet people charge ahead like there's no repercussions to anything that they do. And what are we doing? We've destroyed our collective consciousness. We've polluted the environment. We're killing each other over temporary things that essentially have no meaning. It's just, you know, people are killing each other over imaginary deities that they believe in, and it's just it's insane. I know it's not easy. I know it can't be easy, but I really wish you the best, and I hope you can find as many natural alternatives and options as possible. But I know it's not easy. Sometimes we just have no choice. We just get what we're prescribed. And you could say no, but what are you going to do then? Suffer with whatever, debilitating illness you have? That's not much better. It's not better. And these types of conversations, it reassures me so greatly that these types of conversations are happening, and that there are people out there who are aware of what's going on. Because I talk to some people and they don't even want to hear it. They just don't want to hear it. They just don't want to engage. They want to live in their little make-believe fantasy realm. Just completely away with the fairies. Head buried in the sand. Eyes closed. Not looking. Don't want to know. And it's just tragic. And the thing that really disturbed me recently, I had a conversation with my family, and I become more and more disturbed and concerned every time I have one of these sorts of conversations with my family, because I begin to. It's true, and I think this is incredibly important, and we all must take responsibility for our future. When people say that, oh, it's not up to me, it's not my responsibility, you've lost it. You've lost it at that point. You don't even know who you are. Everything's your responsibility. You're a living being. But I was talking with my family, and I was talking about this stuff, and they were saying, you just hate the world. You just hate everyone. And I thought, I don't hate anyone. I'm one of the least hateful people. I'm one of the least hateful people alive, possibly. I mean, not to like blow my own horn, so to speak, but I don't hate anyone. How on earth they get this idea? Just because I talk about these things, just because I talk about the problems that we're facing and the changes that need to be made, they think that I'm some sort of emo, some sort of depressive, hateful, miserable asshole who just doesn't care about anything. And exactly because I don't divide myself. When you have that realization of the true nature of consciousness, you understand that I'm everyone. We're all one consciousness. I will never die. I will just be reborn forever. So all of these problems that we're leaving behind, I will have to face those in the future in a different incarnation. I'll be looking at reality from a different subjective viewpoint, so it will appear as if I'm a different person, but I'm still exactly the same universe, awakening unto itself, and I'm still exactly the same consciousness. That's how reality works. That's it. That's it. And it was flabbergasting, is what it was. I couldn't believe that anyone would think that I'm a hateful person and that I hate them. They thought or think that that means that they've thought for like the past 17 years or something that I hate them. I, it's unbelievable. I love my entire family, and I look at what they're going through at times, especially my sister. My sister it worries me greatly, and I really care about her, and I've tried to help her in so many ways, and I just can't seem to. It's her mind is closed, and no matter how much I reach out, they just push me away. But it, but I just can't imagine how they thought that I hated them. It's insane. I think back across my entire life. What have I ever done to make you think that I hate you? How did you come to that conclusion about me? Just because I talk about these problems? Just because I talk about my concerns and because I'm open and honest about the situation that we're in? They think that I'm judging them or something or I can't quite imagine it. It's unimaginable to me. I can't imagine what it's like to think like that. I just can't. And much of this is because all of this work that I've had to do has had to be in secrecy. It's all had to be in secrecy because of the conflict that it's caused within our family, and because of the fear of being thrown in prison, and all of this stuff. I've had to do everything underground, So no one's seen any of this work that I'm doing. They don't want to see it. And so they just make their assumptions. They've never actually taken time to get to know me or experience these things for themselves or anything. But anyway, let's move on from that because we all have families and we love them greatly, but it can be very, very difficult. So this is it. Here we are, What can I do? What can I do? The thing that's really got to me at the moment is that I can see it. I can see out there ahead of me into the future, and I can extrapolate forwards. I just know that I could work as hard as I possibly can for the rest of my life, and I will never be free, and nothing will ever change. It's such a monumental task that it's like coming up against an immovable object. And I know that my entire existence is void, and I will never be anything more than just another waste of space. I can jump through their hoops, I can play the game, I can work my fucking ass off. Nothing's ever gonna change because I'm trapped within this system of oppression and control. And it's so difficult to talk to people who can't see this stuff. They just don't have a clue. They say like, just go to university. You just got to get a degree and you'll get a good job and it's gonna be fine. It's gonna be great. And it's like, I can do those things, but it's not gonna have an effect. It's not gonna do anything. The small, minuscule blip of an effect that I actually have on reality is these conversations, is these moments. And truthfully, this is what I live for. This is the only. This is the only reason I'm still alive. Yep, it's a fucking tragedy, dude. The only reason that I'm still here is to help humanity liberate itself. That's my only purpose. Everything that I ever do is moving towards that goal. And again, people can't understand that. You know, the reason I'm learning to play drums is because it's a language. It's a language that's even more expressive than the English language that I'm using right now. It's a language that can be used to communicate such deep experiences and such profound wisdom to people that I know that I'll be able to put it out there. I'll be able to put this message out there through music, and I might be able to help some people. But then I talk to people about it, and they say, being a drummer's not a job. Being a drummer's not something you should do with your life. That's pathetic. You just all you care about is just having fun and playing drums. You don't care about anything. Oh. No, it's good, man. It's good. This is all really important stuff, dude. So again, people think I just don't care about anything and I just want to play my drums. Well, to a degree, yes, I do just want to play my drums. But it's so much deeper than that. It's but we're talking about people who don't have an understanding of this kind of thing. Um, you know, it's it takes a great degree of awareness to be able to actually appreciate music on that level where you truly understand the message. To most people, it's just noises, and so I realize why they don't get it, because I didn't get it. You know, I thought the Grateful Dead were terrible. I thought they were terrible. I didn't understand it at all until I took LSD, and then I listened to it, and it was so beautiful that it just reduced me to tears. It floored me. That's it. Conformism, sheepishness. You know, and it's incredible. It's incredible that in my perfectly sober state, I now have the appreciation. I can listen to this music, and not to the full degree of how I experience it when my mind and my senses are fully awake. Not anywhere close to that, because those highs, those peaks, those moments of awakening are just nothing comes close to that. But even now, perfectly sober in my normal state of awareness, I can appreciate the wisdom and the message in the music. And I'm so grateful for that. I'm so grateful that I've worked on myself to the point where I'm sensitive enough and in tune enough to understand. But it wasn't easy. It wasn't easy. And people think psychedelics are a miracle cure, and you're just going to take them and you're instantly going to be the best musician in the world, and all of your problems are going to be solved. And it's just cheating. You're just cheating by relying on drugs. Not the case at all. Psychedelics give you the opportunity to do the work, but you must still do all of the work yourself. You'll be confronted with a lot of extremely difficult stuff in those places. Extremely difficult. Yeah, it it is easy. It is easy. Yeah. Yeah, there's people who go through life and never do anything difficult ever. They never challenge themselves on any level. It's insane. I I don't get it. I can't imagine it. I am literally miserable if I'm not constantly challenging myself to improve. That's what makes me happy. The harder I'm working, the harder I'm pushing myself, the happier I am. And uh, that's surely that's like a normal mechanism of the human mind that ensures we go on and continue to evolve. And yet some people just don't seem to have it. Well, they don't. They just want everything to be easy and to not have to think about anything. Yeah, it's nuts. And that could come down to the fact that we've like nerfed the world to a degree. So a lot of like non-viable genetics are getting through, because they're existing within the confines of a game instead of within the confines of reality. So a lot of people who would naturally be forced to change or rejected by either society or reality itself are surviving now, and they're making it through, and they're reproducing in large numbers. So we've probably devolved to a certain degree. Um, there's probably a percentage of the population who have like right, yeah, who have like faulty sort of non-viable neurology that in reality just doesn't make any sense. Oh, And I'm not saying that there's no hope for those people. I truly believe everyone can change. I mean, I don't think I got the fucking genetic jackpot or anything. I'm pretty sure I was a fucking idiot in the beginning too. I'm pretty sure I was one of the densest motherfuckers around. And I worked very hard to overcome that. Very hard. So there we go. I think I've said my piece. That's it. It's a willingness. We have the tools, we have the disciplines, we have everything we need. All it takes is a willingness to take the first step and stick with it. You know? And it's not easy. It's not at all easy. So I feel like this should be a podcast. I feel like this is the type of conversation that we need, that I need on a podcast, because I know it's sad, but I've gotten to the point where, unfortunately, everything that I've done forever, I've done for free, and it's not sustainable. It's just not sustainable at all, and I desperately need to find ways to monetize everything I'm doing and squeeze all the value out of everything. And I want to put this message out there, but if I'm going to continue and be able to do that, I need to be able to survive. So I need to turn this into into something profitable. It needs to be a podcast. It needs to happen. And this is what it's going to be. These conversations, I need to bring people on, someone to have a discussion with like this, and get it going, you know. And there's much more that I'm going to need to do as well. And it's sad. Something that I realized earlier is that in reality, someone with my courageousness to have done all of this would be revered, would be upheld, and respected. And yet in this society, I'm viewed as the scum of the earth. I'm viewed as the problem. And it's just insane, you know? In classic tribal culture, I'd be the shaman of the tribe, you know? People would come to me for wisdom. People would seek my help in guiding them through mystical experience, you know? People would revere my ability to raise awareness and to access those states, etc. You know, but it's a lost art, and we've completely lost touch with all of that stuff. We've lost touch with ourselves, and so here I am, just barely surviving, just some reject, some outcast, and it's unbelievable. Well, there's people out there. There's the Joe Rogan Experience, of course. Probably my favorite podcast. My mustache has gone rogue. It's trying to climb into my nose. God damn it. There we go. No, it's still. I'm gonna shave my beard. Well, not. I'm gonna trim it. I'm gonna trim it. Getting a little bit crazy. and this Duncan Trussell Family Hour, which is great. Another really good sort of psychedelic podcast. And I'm pretty sure Ari Shafir has a podcast, right? Maybe, I don't know. Maybe he doesn't. Actually, Ari Shafir is perhaps a bit too crazy for a podcast, but anyway. Yeah, I'm doing my bit. I just need to work out how to make it sustainable so I can actually go on doing this. And you can't go back, and I'm not like pinning this on my parents or something like that. But if I had a child, if I have children one day, I would have liked to have had children sort of in my late teens. Ideally, it's when I felt like I should have had children, but you know, my entire life was fucking derailed by this catastrophe that we're living through. So it didn't happen. But if I do ever have children, I will pass all of this information on to them. I'll be perfectly honest with them about everything. And good God, I wish someone had I wish someone had explained some of this stuff to me. I wish someone had prepared me for this in some way. Drumwork to indie titles. I mean, yeah, I'll do it. I'll take whatever work. If I can drum on it, I will drum on it, dude. I mean, I'm still learning, and there's a long way to go. But you got to start somewhere, and if someone gives me the opportunity, or if I can find the opportunity, I'll play drums on it, man. I'll do it. I mean, some stuff doesn't need particularly advanced or complex drumming. I mean, you listen to 90% of what's played on the radio. It's literally kick snare, kick snare. It's the entire song. Maybe a little basic drum fill here and there. But you know, it's nothing revolutionary or even particularly musical. Diabotical. Mate, I think so, but I've forgotten what it is. Let me check. Oh yeah, it's this arena FPS. Yeah, I've heard of this. Is it still in development? I see there's a Kickstarter. Oh, nice. Yeah, okay. That would be cool. Yeah, thanks for the heads up there. I'll do that. I'll do that. Yeah, you know, I'm trying to find musicians locally and everything, but again, you know, I'm like not a normal person, not a normie. It's hard. It's hard to just find people like me. Um, so it you know, the type of music that I really really want to play, that I'm most passionate about, is improvisational psychedelic rock music. You know, and I want to find some other people that I can like drop acid with and just jam out for hours and hours. Just really sync ourselves up and build something incredible. But it's difficult. It's just really hard. You know, I found some musicians recently, and I was like, oh, this is great. I found some musicians, and they're also into video games and stuff. And I thought I'd made some friends, and well, one of them turned out to be a total sociopath. And God, it was quite an experience. Yeah, that would be pretty sweet, right? Man. Yeah, that was shocking to me. Like, true, true. Yeah, yeah. You know, I just find it like I find it very hard to relate to people sometimes. Um, you could say perhaps that's partially because I'm autistic or whatever. But I think it's also partially just because I live a radically different life to most people, and so I find it hard to relate to people and hard to imagine what they're thinking or whatever, and and so I met this guy and I was like, oh, this guy plays guitar and it seems pretty cool and stuff, and we hung out a few times. We played some Stars Without Number together one time and seemed pretty cool, but then gradually things started getting really weird, and they seemed like really manipulative, like they were just trying to use me to get stuff out of me, like. And then as soon as they realized that I could see them, that I knew what they were doing, they just cut me off. They just stopped talking, just never talked to me again. It's insane. Like, I can't believe that there's people like that. It just boggles the mind. The funny thing with sociopaths is, like, if you're remotely paying attention, you'll instantly recognize what they're trying to do. You'll instantly spot that they're sociopathic tendencies. It's clear as day, and it's just funny because I've known a number of sociopaths in my life, and it's like it's like they're fake people or something. It's like they're not real. It's so weird. Yeah, I feel exactly the same. The distance between me and my closest family members even is so vast. It's like we're in entirely separate universes. It's crazy. But yeah, it's so weird. Like I just couldn't. Right? Yeah, it's hard. It's yeah. It's so weird though. Like how they behave and how they think and how they think they can just like manipulate people and abuse people and get away with it and stuff. Maybe they can. Maybe it works on some people, but if you're like remotely switched on, it's so obvious what they're trying to do. Yeah, yeah. It's funny you say that because I was thinking about the metaphor of zombies. Like, it might have been earlier today, even. And I was like, we are living in the zombie apocalypse, but we're the zombies. Like, the the fucking normies. They're the zombies. It's the zombie apocalypse. This is it. It's happening. That they're not eating our brains and they're not reanimated corpses. Well, they might as well be though, because they are pretty much already dead. Right, right. I think it was Alaska who said, like, as soon as someone stops changing, they're already dead. So you get these people who they're just the same patterns just playing out. Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, that's it. That's it. That's it. I can totally relate to that because I was just existing. I wasn't living for a long portion of my life. And God, when you're like suddenly alive, you're like, holy shit! I'm really alive now. I'm alive. Oh, I'm not just this passive thing that's like buffeted about by the forces of the universe and that just I'm not just like a pattern playing out. I'm literally conscious and awake and in control. I'm alive. It's amazing to reach that point. My God. It's so reassuring, Call me. I love you, dude. I really appreciate this. I Yeah. It's so amazing to know that you're out there doing the fucking work, and I appreciate everything you're doing. Uh well done. Well done.